Everybody, it's Pandy, and I'm playing World of Tanks. I want to go ahead and give out a monster shout out to wootarmory.com. It's a pretty damn good blog that covers a lot of aspects of World of Tanks in regards to reviewing tanks and testing the armor and firepower and giving an overall impression of a lot of vehicles that I simply don't have the ability to write down in written form. It's a really great website to check out, and I would check it out. I have, and I'm recommending to everyone out there, so it's worth checking out. Check it out, read, get your book smarts on. It's a great website. So let's go ahead and get balls deep into the bat chat. At the start of things, for development for the French nation, medium tanks basically started coming up and developing in the early 50s. During the process, the whole idea for the French armed forces was to develop a medium tank that was as light as possible, as mobile as possible, with oscillating turret, with a good, nice, mean monster gun. What they got out of it was a very flat tank with 80 millimeters of effective sloped armor in the front, a hydraulic suspension system with 6 road wheels, and an oscillating turret like the AMX-13. This bad boy came armed with a 90mm main gun with a 7.5mm machine gun. Now there's 2 prototypes that were ever constructed for testing, and they were in competition with the AMX-30. The AMX-30 didn't have an oscillating turret, but it still got into the basically competition in regards to trying to win this contract, and it did win. The main reasons why the Bat Chat lost was in competition was the oscillating turret was unneeded and was no longer useful in light of the technological advancements in regards to armor. The other key problem was just the lack of the ability to make it airtight. Nuclear and biological weapons being the big thing at that time, they needed something to be able to seal it up so to keep the crew members safer from those type of attacks. The hydraulic system also saw a lot of faults and was deemed as too unreliable. So before the project was actually completely lost, there was attempts to make this design useful in some way as a self-propelled gun. Now, with a turret with an automatic charging system / autoloader was studied upon and looked at in 1958. This was going to be using a 155mm main gun, but this project was completely dropped in December of '59. This was mainly due to the lack of interest by the French armed forces, and only a wooden mock-up model was put together of this variant to be presented to them, which didn't pass muster. And that's it. That's all the information I have about the Bad Chat. There isn't really all that much information, and what information I did find, what I've already passed on to you guys, came from a Dutch site that I had to get translated, at least in the correct method. Google Translate sucks. A little bit. It helps, but it sucks. So I actually had to get it translated, and that's all there was, or at least reliably. In my conclusion, if I had to actually put some thought into it, I think what they were trying to do is create a 1390 light tank into a medium tank type concept, which basically failed. It never fruited purely because the overall development of NATO and Germany and the need to have a standardization of tanks and equipment between the alliance led to the effective kill off of this project. So I don't know, I guess France was just trying to be an effective member of the alliance, maybe. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Within World of Tanks, the Bat Chat is bat shit. The firepower in the Bat Chat is decent and good, kind of, at best. I mean, the gun does put down a lot of fire out there when needed. It does have the highest amount of penetration out of all the guns out there that could be equipped on tier 9 mediums, and it does not provide that much DPS if you put it all together, though. It actually has the lowest amount of DPS per minute, or what was it, damage per minute. Along with this, it does have the longest amount of time that it takes for aiming, and it's only the second most accurate gun out there. So even though it has an autoloader and it has a high amount of burst damage on weaker targets, it still lacks in sheer power. I mean, in 1 minute of actively shooting shit up and reloading, the Bat Chat just simply has the lowest amount of damage it can put out. In the long run, in regards to the development of a match, that does matter. I mean, you can win games by simply rushing in there, shooting up 3 targets that have like 1 hittable, less than 300 hit points, and win the game very easily if you could do that. But it's only a burst fire weapon where a lot of situations require a consistent rate of fire to be able to support your teammates, so the Bat Chat's more of a hit and run, raiding, scouting type motherfucker. So yeah, I mean, the gun is awesome when it's loaded, but when it's not loaded, it just not good. It's just bad. I remember talking about this gun with my AMX 5100, and it's awesome at tier 8. It is awesome. At tier 9 level, it's not as great. I mean, with the T29, that one gun there, the big gun there, is awesome. But on the T32, it's a little lacking. It doesn't do as much as it could at a tier 7 as a tier 8. So it's kind of the same situation. Now, the armor on the Bat Chat does not exist. You get it from me. You get it from a lot of people, that you'd be lucky to get deflections from time to time. That's why the armor's kind of My biggest issue with this tank is just the factor that the artillery can just eat this tank up and chew you up and just kill you with full amounts of damage. I mean, you get one-shotted all the time from tier 7 and tier 8 artillery very easily, like boom, done. The low hit points also means that you get chewed up fairly quickly in 3 to 5 shots from tier 7s, tier 8s, tier 9s. We're not even talking about tier 10s or tank destroyers, we're just talking about tanks. So you can't really make any mistakes in this bad boy, and if you do, you're liable to be dead. If you get tranked, you are done. So you gotta be careful in this bad boy, and you gotta play it smart and not get hit, which is impossible within tanks. Armor, hit points, bad. Now when it comes to the mobility on the Bat Chat, it is the best out of any tanks tier 9 or higher. It hauls ass, turns, and books it, and hides like a good old French tank should be able to. And when you run into tight situations, go ahead and embrace that internationality of being French and run away. Run, run, run. When it comes down to it, the mobility is what is going for the Bat Chat. And I love how you can be able to get in there, run out, do what you gotta do, and cover holes, help people out, intercept scouts. The speed is great. I mean, the speed makes great for like surprise attacks during clan wars or getting away from someone once you fired all your rounds. So mobility is good. That's the only thing I can actually see going for. So that's all I got for that. Overall, the Bat Chat is bat shit. The tank is not good, but it's not bad either. I mean, it's best used effectively as a scout in clan wars with the ability to defend itself unlike a 50-2. When it comes to pub play, I believe the tank is underpowered due to its DPS. Its low overall DPS is mainly due to the issue of just having that low rate of fire and the inability to fire high damage rounds. And even when you have a full magazine loaded with 6 rounds, it's still not the greatest because you run a lot of risk. When you're shooting, you either have to run or gun or snipe. To fire off 6 rounds, that is 16 seconds of exposure that can just get you wiped out very quickly and very effectively. I remember saying something along the lines that this gun is epic on the 50-100. That's because you got some hit points, you got a little bit of armor, and you're only a tier 8. On a tier 9, on the other hand, it's not as great. I mean, the HP and armor on this tank is junk, and the mobility is the only real strength on this tank, and it can be outdone by any skilled player that knows how to aim. So the gun is only as good as everything else related to the tank. If you don't have a great backbone, or you don't, it's hard to describe because I do like it. The Bat Chat is just unique. I do like it, and it's just hard to put into words. I usually do these reviews just by talking out of my head and just talking into the microphone. The history is kind of scripted, but I just talk, and I have little to no words to really say about the Bat Chat. The only thing I can say is it could be better. It could be better. So I will not recommend this tank to anyone unless you're bored and you want to go after another tier 9 medium tank. It's really good for scouting, but I would not recommend it to anyone who wants to go ahead and try out a tier 9 medium tank for the first time. If I was going to recommend any tier 9 medium tank up front, right out of the bat, I would recommend either the Patton or the E50. So there you go. You guys have it. I'm really tired, so if I sound tired, that's just how I am. That's how I roll. I do this shit late. So let's go ahead and get into that part of the video where I get to give away some World of Tanks gold. This week, as always, recent, I'm going to be giving away 6,500 gold to the North American server and 5,500 gold to the European Union server. To win said gold, you must just post a comment down below, maybe about the video question, which is, what do you guys think of the Bat Chat being upgraded to a tier 10 level like the IS-4 was? Do you think it's going to be good? What kind of buffs are you expecting? If there is going to be buffs, what are you guys expecting? I think the Bat Chat will be served good as long as they take it back to its pre-nerf mode and then buff it with HP. Yeah, that's it. That would make the tank good. With that, it would serve a good purpose in clan wars. If it's a tier 10, got the HP, it would actually be an effective tank. Actually, I thought it was an effective tank up front. Now it's kind of like, oh, it's the Bat Chat. Yeah, I know. I'm just bitching, and I'm tired, and I've been up for 30 hours. So, I appreciate you guys. Thank you. I'm Pandy, a tired panda. Did I just say tired panda? Well, it's Pandy. And good hunting.